Okay, everyone, welcome back to another lesson here within the TLDR of Life course. So, this is going to be part 3 of this lesson of why do I believe what I believe in my life domain. And so, the specific life domain that I'm going through right now is my career. And so, if you haven't watched parts 1 and 2 yet, I highly encourage you to watch those to understand the reasoning behind what I'm doing, as this is the second life domain question that we're answering. So without further ado, I'll be going into my blog posts and reading them right now. So, why do I believe that I want to make the mundane appealing? So let me actually answer the question this time. I believe the hiring process should reflect the performance review process, because right now there isn't that alignment. There has to be unity in what someone is hired for and what they're measured against. I believe that because I've experienced that myself. I've also heard others describe how the position that they thought they were interviewing for was an entirely different job description from the reality of once they started the job. That's what makes someone good at interviewing. What makes someone good at interviewing is a different skill set than what makes them competent at their job. I like things fitting into systems, so this goes against that. When something doesn't neatly fit in, it bothers me. I have to make it integrate, sometimes overcompensate. But it's not to that point at all here. Sometimes there's so much dissonance between these two things that it makes me wonder if we have the right people in place. Speaking here more in terms of larger corporations, people can just play a game and game the system to get a job. And you can even game the system to have success in performance reviews and move up the ladder. But I would guess that those people will always be looking for more, in a negative connotation. No amount of private jets, sports cars, luxury suites can make them feel as happy as they can be. When you game the system, again, it comes back to systems where if you set up the wrong systems, it can take decades, centuries, generations to reverse. That's what we're trying to transcend as a society. Systemic oppression, systemic inequity, systemic racism, systemic dysfunction, organizational discombobulation. That it should be a meritocracy, a level playing field where the system rewards intelligence and diligence in one area, but also highlights those who have intelligence and diligence in other areas. But that's not the society we live in now. So it can't be governed like a meritocracy until everything truly is equal. So why do I believe that the hiring and performance review process should reflect more closely of each other? Because systemic misalignment and disunity are so glaring that I can't reconcile it. All right, next question. Why do I believe I want to make the mundane appealing? Because life can be mundane, or life can be appealing. It's only our mindset and intentions that make something mundane or appealing, or any other feeling. Because I think we associate routine with mundane. That anything we have to do repeatedly, it's mundane. Humans crave novelty. We don't want the same thing over and over again. We like something new and exciting. But, I could say the exact inverse statements and it can still be true. That humans crave a routine and that we fear something new. Why is that? I think it's the context. We want something new within the context of something old or something we know. We crave routine amidst a sea of novelty. So I drew some stuff out in a 2x2 quadrant. The current axis existing and new, and the future axis is existing and new. So within the boxes, we have within the current and existing and the future existing, it's mundane or a positive habit. With existing and current times the new future, it equals a comfort zone or creativity. With the current new and a future existing, then we also have comfort zone and creativity. But then when it's new, current, and existing future, that can be fearful or excitement or adventure, right? So growth mindset versus fixed mindset, future state, current state, novelty scale, just random thoughts that I had. This is not necessarily a neat 2x2 quadrant though. It's a spectrum on both axes. So to directly answer the question, it's because I have a growth mindset. Now, what are examples of each? existing within existing, within an existing, right? So right now it's doing Shambhavi. I've known it for 3 years, so it's something I do repeatedly. But Shambhavi was initially something that could be categorized as a new experience within an existing context. So I felt some level of comfort, but also learning novelty with it. The existing experience being meditation. Existing experience within a new context, following along with YouTube workout videos, because I've worked out before, but not in the context of following a YouTube video. New experience within an existing context is traveling to a new place. These two seem very similar, and they are. That's a very fine line between the two, and functionally, I'm not actually sure that there's any difference. New experience with a new context. When I first started vlogging, recording myself was new, and talking about my day and then posting that online was new. Or even creating, publishing, and distributing my website was a new experience. But how we approach each of these experiences is up to us. Even the growth versus fixed mindset vernacular is a false discrete dichotomy. That too is a spectrum and a range. If existing and fixed mindset, that's actually the comfort zone, mundane, same old routine, safe and secure. If existing and growth mindset, it's more of a positive habit building, 1% growth each day. But if it's actually too much of a growth mindset, then there's restlessness, wanting to jump from one thing to the next, that you can never build a solid routine. Now, if it's a new experience in an existing context and a fixed mindset, then it can be anxiety-inducing or stressful or not wanting to do it. New, existing, and growth mindset is creativity, flow, failure. Now, but if there's too much growth mindset here, it can turn again into an addiction with novelty without growing across context or reinforcing that learning. With existing experiences in new context and a fixed mindset, you feel like you're growing, but you're really not. Creating novelty for novelty's sake rather than actually learning from it. It's the human trap that all the systems have built. But they can also be stressful or anxiety-inducing. So again, very similar to the inverse quadrant. If existing experience, a new context, and growth, then the same adjectives are creativity, flow, learning, failure, etc. If it's too much growth, though, it's what I said above here for this categorization of with existing experiences in a new context and a fixed mindset, you feel like you're growing, but you're really not. Creating novelty for novelty's sake rather than actually learning from it. It's a human trap that all the systems have built. Now, finally, if new experience within a new context and fixed mindset, then it's total avoidance, fear, closing off. If new growth, then excitement and adventure. But if it's too much growth, then it's not just novelty addiction, but immature risk-taking, callow naivete. Okay, after 10 minutes of research and ideation, I got it. I incorporate the concept of the learning zone model. It's a circle with the comfort zone in the middle, learning zone outside that, and the danger zone outside that. Then when I layer that on, the circles in the quadrant combine so that the bottom right quarter of the circle is then encompassed by the quadrant, like the picture I have below. But this is still 2D. Let's bring in the fixed versus growth mindset, but really rename this fixed, balanced growth, aimless growth mindset. Or fixed, balanced, growth, aimless, and a growth mindset. Since I believe that I need to have the right balance between the two ends of the spectrum. It's going to create a third dimension, and it will become a sphere, like the picture I have below. So here you get the most volume of the sphere when you have a balanced growth mindset compared to leaning one way or the other too much. So I forgot that this was even within the context of my career, but to combine this revelation with the career life domain, it's because I can apply my balanced growth mindset to my career in whatever I do. Even this itself is a learning zone experience. I combined a new experience of this topic in existing context of a 2x2 quadrant in a 3D shape. Very meta. Perfect way to end this freeform journal. On to the next question and to the next journal, with hopefully even more balanced growth. So I'll show quick diagrams of my drawings and sketchings here of the initial quadrants. and then drawing of the 2D circles of the comfort zone, learning zone, danger zone, with the square with the quadrant that I showed above, and then this drawing to indicate fixed mindset, balanced growth mindset, and kind of an uncontrollable growth mindset, with the 2D plane growing with experiences and contexts as existing or new within it. Our next blog post. Why do I believe that I have to have meaning and impact in my career? Why do I believe that I have to have meaning and impact in my career? Because I know I have value in this world, that I can share my thoughts and ideas and energy with the world and with others. Like if I don't have meaning and impact in career, or really anything that I do, then what's the point? I believe that everything in the world truly happens for some reason, and it's for us to find out what those are. So me spending 40 to 50 hours a week focused on a specific topic within an industry with specific people should have meaning, yes? There's going to be so much wisdom in those 8 hours of work that only someone who is disinterested, disengaged, and apathetic about their job wouldn't believe that there's something to learn. Even if they don't like their job, there's always a reason that they're working there. To potentially find out that that's not their passion or something. So if there's a reason for us to learn the impact that a career will have on our lives, then it logically flows that the lives of others will also be impacted by the work profession that we do or choose. Again, it falls into a system, the two-way impact relationship. I have an impact on myself, I have an impact on others have an impact on me, the interconnectedness there. If I don't have a meaning or impact in my career, wouldn't it have been just a waste? If I can't point to someone's life being positively impacted by something I was a part of, then what's the point? And for me, I want to not only have that feeling once, I want to have that feeling every day for the rest of my life. And not only for the rest of my life, but even after I'm gone too. So I think that's what it comes down to. I believe this because I want to have the legacy of my ideas to live on for eternity. The belief that legacy is greater than currency. Next one. Why do I believe that a steep hierarchical org structure creates a more toxic workplace? Why do I believe that a steep hierarchical organizational structure creates a more toxic workplace compared to a flatter one? When you create levels, people feel less than or better than others, and it affects what they think of themselves. If we say that we're all equal, then how come we don't follow that by the way we organize ourselves in a company? Very relevant, as I just read a few chapters in Be Like Jesus, where it talks about unity in thought, word, and deed, not just on the individual level, but on an organizational level. So the reasons we created levels in society is so that someone could make decisions on the behalf of others. That may have been an effective way millennia, centuries, and decades ago, but not anymore. Everything is becoming decentralized anyways with the blockchain. With an organization specifically, DAOs are popping up left and right. But how does that translate into the physical world, not just the digital world? Okay, so brainstorming time. Have defined processes for the orgs at the beginning. What if you have owners of processes instead of owners of functions? The process flow goes that way anyways. Why not align it more towards that? That way you get rid of the need for functional heads and with supervisors and more subordinates. Instead of managing people, you're managing a process. Or better yet, using earlier learnings, managing to enhancing. So you're enhancing processes. Will that eradicate the hierarchical structure? Are some processes more important than others? Perhaps. But just like the beginning of my government idea, taking turns, what if you rotate people through these groups of processes every 1 year or whatever period of time that you want? That way, they get experience doing other processes in the org and can bring a fresh perspective to improve the current process. What about the organizational inefficiency you get by having to train people in the change of different processes? Well, I could say that it would be beneficial for the org long term because 1, people are forced to define and document the process more clearly and articulate it. And 2, when you teach something, you learn it twice, so they'll get even better with that process when they're explaining it. Then by having experience across all functions of the process, they get an even greater perspective of how their work impacts the end result. What about the people like the founders and folk who interact with the board for funding and everything or reporting to shareholders? Like, what's at the level that oversees all the other processes? So yes, there will have to be that one level, but I think it may even be a possibility to have that be a group of people that also rotates every so often. There can be rules and restrictions placed on it so that nothing disastrous happens, but definitely something I have to think about more. I believe that the current structure diminishes people who are at a lower position. Their self-confidence and self-esteem are impacted. I believe that everyone deserves to be on the same level and have the same opportunities, and the current system isn't set up for that. I don't know if I'm going crazy or if this makes sense to anyone else who will read this, but who knows. So, anyways, those were the 3 blog posts that I had written about and journaled about and went deep of why do I believe these certain things about my life domain of my career. So I'm going to continue this in part 4, and I hope to see you in part 4 and the future parts and future lessons of this TLDR of Life course. I'll see you next time.